So good morning, everybody. My name is Ryan Anderson. I'm a sales executive here at Expedient Software. Thank you all so much for joining us today as we look through our top 5 proposal game changers. Like many of you in the proposal space, I'm not a certified proposal professional. I don't have a proposal degree, but over my time here at Expedience, I've grown a passion about creating proposals, automating that process for our customer base. We love the challenge. It certainly is a huge challenge, and I'm happy to talk with you all today about what some of those biggest challenges are after talking with our customer base and finding out what some of the best solutions that we have here at Expedience for those challenges. We love advocating for our proposal professionals out there, and we're really happy to share what works with you all. My information will be provided at the end of the session, so if you'd like to connect with me, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to speak with you all individually. What are our top 5 proposal game changers? Why do they matter? Why don't we have some of these tools and functionality already today? Of course, I'll go through what those game changers are with you all, and then we'll have some time for a Q&A at the end. There will be a Q&A panel that you all have access to. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the session through that Q&A panel. And again, at the end of the session, we'll take some time to go through those together. Again, if needed, if I don't have time to go through all the questions that are presented, we can certainly continue the conversation afterwards. We'll have a recording of the presentation sent out as well, along with my contact information. So again, please feel free to reach out to me directly. What are our game changers? Well, first and foremost, scaling up your proposal process. Oftentimes, we're doing what works today because it works. But as we scale that proposal process, maybe some cracks show in that process. And we'll talk a bit about today how we can help scale your process for you. Saving time, it's big. These proposals take a long time. Going through an RFP takes a very long time. How can we save our proposal professionals' time is a big key factor here. Eliminating mistakes. Mistakes inside of a proposal response can often cost you that business. How can we eliminate those mistakes? Collaboration is becoming increasingly important as these proposals get more complex, as they get lengthier. We need input from our subject experts, those people that are very well versed in their field. How can we get them involved in the process in an easy way for everybody to get their input on our proposal responses? Again, all of these things together are great game changers. Why do these matter? Well, again, deadlines for proposal responses are getting tighter. You have a shorter and shorter window to create and draft these responses and make sure that they're picture perfect. How can we respond to these RFPs quicker than we're doing today? The expectations of our customers, of our potential clients in these RFPs are growing. The level of detail, complexity expected in your response as a proposal writer is growing. And how can we give you some tools that are going to help you meet that growing expectation? Our subject experts are great. They're awesome in their field, but they have, a day job as well. And getting them involved in the process can often be costly. It could be difficult to get them involved. How can we loop them into the process, again, in a way that's going to be easy and efficient? Again, errors in our proposals lose us business. We want to remove as many errors as possible through automation to, again, draft awesome winning proposals that are going to be error-free. And finally, another topic to talk about, turnover for our proposal professionals is an all-time high due to many of these reasons. The job itself as a proposal writer is getting more difficult. The expectations of you as a proposal professional are growing. And so the stress associated with being in this business is growing. And how can we help as a proposal automation company remove a lot of that stress from our proposal professionals out there? Why don't we have some of these tools already today? Well, one big reason is lack of leadership visibility. That difference between your business leaders looking at the business as a whole versus what your experience is on the ground as a proposal writer. And how can we bridge that gap? Oftentimes, our proposal people are caught in a field of competing priorities of you versus the process versus the tools that you have to use to draft these proposals. And how can we level that playing field so that it's not as much of a challenge to fight against those processes or tools? Maybe in the past, your company, your firm has taken on a software vendor. Maybe it didn't meet all of your needs. So that can be a barrier to acquiring new proposal tools out there in the future. And of course, advocating for yourselves. How can we provide you with the tools and the talking points to advocate with your leadership for a better proposal tool to improve your process? Let's talk about our game changers. We'll start with sort of the base, the foundation of the Expedient solution, a proposal content library. We refer to this as a portfolio at Expedient. So if you hear me exchange those terms, they mean the same thing to us here. Our solution at Expedience is through Microsoft Word, so just keep that in mind as we go forward, that all of our tools and our software capabilities are integrated with Microsoft Word directly. And through that tool, we're going to house reusable proposal assets, our vetted and approved content that we vetted to be, on message, on brand, in line with what we do today as a company. Oftentimes, these pieces of content will be answers to common questions. We want to be able to quickly and easily find this information. We don't want to have to dig through old proposals and, try and dig through those old proposals and copy and paste that information into new ones. We want to be able to quickly and consistently find this information through that content library by searching through it. That content, we want to stand it up as a foundational piece of content to be easily, flexibly used in different proposals as needed, be able to change and bespokely add new content to those answers, to those RFP questions as needed. And again, Expedience achieves this through Microsoft Word. Our content library and all of our other tools are accessible through these additional tabs or ribbons at the top of Microsoft Word. And that content portfolio, we want to organize it in these little pull-down menus or galleries. So that as we need to grab information about our company, grab common answers to common questions, we want to be able to drop that information into any Word document. That content does remain to be Word content. So if we did need to make some bespoke edits or changes to this content over time, we absolutely can. We absolutely have that flexibility. So if we're searching for an answer in our content libraries, we'll perform a key term search of that exact customer question against that library and provide you with a weighted list of responses. We can preview these different responses and ensure that, yes, indeed, that is that answer to that question that we want here. Drop it right into our documents. And again, as needed, we need to make changes. We need to add some content, add some context to these answers. We've got that flexibility so that we can take a foundational piece of content and edit it bespokely to meet the exact needs of this RFP. In scenarios where We may run into a vague customer question. They've asked us for references, but we might have dozens of those. We can search based off of a key term search of our own, searching against a piece of content's tags or metadata tags that we may add to it, so that if we need a reference, we can get a little bit more specific with our own key term search to find those references. These different content records, we can also assign ownership to them. We can assign ownership to them, assigning different subject experts or reviewers or update schedules to these pieces of content so that we can mass manage these pieces of content later. Which brings me to my next topic, managing this content, involving our subject matter experts in the process of keeping that information up to date. We need that content to be visible to those subject experts so that we can proactively review it, get that engagement from our subject experts, and update it easily. Again, all of those updates done through Microsoft Word. No additional website or database that you'll need to go to as an Expedience user to manage this content. We can use different filters that we, again, provide on those different pieces of content to assign different reviewers, update schedules, and subject experts. If we have a subject expert that is an owner of our content in our library, Marie Curie, I could filter by how old her records are further, but what if I just want to pull all of her records out in one place? We'll export those records out into a report from that portfolio that, like everything else that Expedience does, at the end of the day, is a Word document. So if Marie Curie doesn't have a license to Expedience, no problem here. We post this report out into a shared file location, give Marie access to that location, and then she gets to work. All of the collaboration features of Office stay with Expedience. We don't take away any of that functionality. So real-time co-authoring, commenting features, review and track changes, all possible here. And so with review and track changes turned on, we could see exactly what Marie does to this content. We can vet and approve those changes while she works. And then at the end of that process is when a licensed user of Expedience would come back into the picture to simply update the report to the library, taking all of Marie's changes and applying them to that portfolio. In a mass change, we'll always prompt you to make an archive of your content to keep a breadcrumb trail of your changes over time. And through that method, we've engaged Marie on these changes without Marie ever needing a license to Expedience herself. Now that we have the ability to manage this content, these little building blocks, these foundational pieces of content, what else can we do with them? Well, with Expedience, we can create awesome automated sales templates based off of that content library, which means that, as we update that content library, so too will our automated templates update with us. The goal of these templates is to be self-service for our sales groups, for creating proactive proposals and quotes. We want to make this process easy and error-free, providing guidance and guardrails to that sales team so they can quickly generate proposals, again, error-free. All these documents will, of course, maintain your marketing, branding, and formatting. And best of all, generate these documents quickly. We achieve this, again, by creating these templates, tying them to our content library, and providing those guardrails to the sales team by just giving them their options, different selections that they can make to bring in content for a proactive proposal or a quote based off of largely, most of the time, most commonly, your different products and services. Different options that you can provide to your potential client. And the salesperson, again, will just make their selections and run the template. And that template will quickly go out and grab those relevant pieces of content, generating 70, 80% of this proposal document and putting us in a place where we just need to add additional context, add some specific things that are hyper specific to this client. And that brings me to my next point. Our next game changer, drafting bulletproof proposals. We want to make sure that these documents are complete, correct before sending them out. Again, an error in our proposal documents can be costly. Could cost us that particular opportunity. We need to personalize these, of course. We'll want to run final checks through the documents, looking for unfinished things, incorrect things. And for saving our files, for creating a breadcrumb trail of our different quotes that we've sent out, following good file retention policies. We can additionally create a function that will name and save those different quotes in your own file and sharing services in a way that allows you to find them easily later if needed. Those personalized elements that we'll add to our proposals are achieved with Expedience through these variable fields, these yellow fields that we see everywhere throughout our content. We call them placeholders. But rather than, depend upon a find and replace process to find those old client names or an insert client name here, we'll want to use these placeholders to fill in this sort of detail, taking our foundational content and very quickly personalizing it to our particular client, to our particular opportunity. Those placeholders variables are all tied together. So when I update one, all of them throughout the document will update. Of course, we do not want to make you find every yellow spot in a document. Like many other things with Expedience, we will provide an easy-to-use dialog box that will allow us to very quickly fill out this personalized information for this particular opportunity. This could be accomplished through typing these things out, dragging and dropping values, maybe from your CRM directly into this dialog box here. Drop-down lists, date pickers, lots of different ways that we can, again, add lots of personal details to our content, do it quickly, and do it error-free. When we generate these proposals, we'll want to generate things like our tables of contents. Of course, as you go through and maybe add some additional information to the proposal, maybe those page numbers change. Maybe we want to make sure that all of our placeholder values are filled in. Again, we can run what we call a finishing step, a final check. Run that through the whole document, telling us if there are unfinished placeholders, if there are incomplete items we've flagged as being manual items that must be done bespokely, spelling errors, of course. And additionally, if we've set up our proposals to connect to an Excel spreadsheet to pull in data through that method, we can check to see if that link has been successfully completed. The final game changer that I want to present to you all today is probably the biggest challenge that faces proposal professionals today, and that's those long form, structured RFPs. Maybe they're coming from the government, maybe they're coming from a commercial entity. In either case, they're getting longer and longer. It could be dozens of pages long, making it very difficult to comb through those documents and identify the different requirements of the response. With our proposal management, we'll want to capture those requirements for you, identifying them and pulling them out into worksheets to assign to owners, different members of our team that are going to be involved in the response. Maybe we can go through the RFP and review it for a bid or no bid decision, deciding if this particular opportunity is worth our time and resources to respond to, if it's a good fit or not. Maybe we additionally have a list of clarification questions that we need to compile and send out to the issuer. Once again, we'll achieve this with our proposal management ribbon, again, accessed through Microsoft Word. If your RFP comes in through a PDF format, it's standard to Office functionality to transfer that and open that PDF as a Word document. So you already have that functionality. And once in Word, Expedience, we can then comb through that RFP to find and capture those different requirements. We'll achieve a first pass through of the document based off of a key term search. Whatever those key terms are in your world, doesn't have to be just shall, must, and require, just very common examples there. But we'll comb through the document and tag every sentence where those terms appear. I'll go ahead and highlight what I've done so everyone can see. But this first pass through not only captures some requirements for us, but of course, helps us during our manual read through, highlighting key items throughout the RFP to help draw the reader's eye. Again, very useful when we're talking about an RFP that's dozens of pages long. Of course, once you do start that read through, you're going to find some requirements that didn't have a key term, so it wasn't captured. We can, of course, grab those items individually as needed. We might see some things that were tagged, that were bookmarked as a requirement that just had a key term in it and didn't end up being something that needed to be addressed directly. We can remove those. We might want to do something cool like grab our headings. This may help us keep things organized. This may help us get titles or subtitles for our proposal response. And finally, those long lists of questions. Of course, those are requirements that we'll need to address. We can shred those lists up. This information is bookmarked. They're not just highlights, which means that we can actually export these requirements to several different places. The first place that we may export these to is to a workbook, where we'll generate an Excel workbook for you, allowing you to manage your team, ensure that the project is on track, assigning specific owners to these different requirements throughout our RFP here, keeping track of stages and due dates. Might have some pretty color validation as well here, ensuring that this Excel workbook is visually friendly and easy to work with. Like everything else that Expedience does, our Word documents, our Word templates, this Excel workbook, these all end up being normal Office file types, which means that if we want to post these items into a shared location like Teams or SharePoint or OneDrive, our subject matter experts who Albert Einstein, if we have that genius on our team, uh, maybe he doesn't have a licensed expedience. Just like our Word documents, not an issue here. All he needs is an Office license to access what is an Excel file or what is a Word file. Further from managing the team, of course, we're going to want to grab all of these requirements we've identified and bring them into our proposal template. With Expedience, you can stand up and stage as many different template files, including automated templates or these more static templates, shell templates, as we call them. You can use our tools to stand up and stage as many of these different templates as you need, so that for each different RFP response type, you won't need to start from scratch every time. Again, though, with our proposal manager, we'll want to grab those requirements we identified and pull them directly here into our response template. Giving us that order and structure of our response to this opportunity. And this is where we close the loop. This is where we connect back to that first game changer of managing a content library. The ability to search those questions directly against that library of content, providing your proposal writer with the list of the most relevant results, dropping those results into the document. So again, with Expedience, we've got some game changers that we bring to the table. Managing libraries of content, doing so in a way that allows us to engage subject matter experts easily in a platform that they're used to, so that they don't have to log into a web form, a web portal that they only use once or twice a quarter. Let's give them an easy to use, familiar location for them to help us manage that content. With those content libraries, we can create awesome automated sales templates, allowing our sales groups to self-service their proposals and quotes. Creating bulletproof proposals, error-free. Removing the risk of losing a piece of business because of a spelling error or some other small administrative error in the content that may again cost us that piece of business. And again, finally, that biggest challenge facing proposal professionals today, those long form RFPs, and how can we process those? So again, I really appreciate all of your time today and attention. We'll take this bit of time here to look through any questions that you may have had. I don't see any questions in the Q&A panel so far. Again, if you have a question, please feel free to post it. If I see no questions, I'll assume that I did a great job of explaining everything and answering your questions before you ask them. Thanks to you too, John. Stephanie, yes, we can integrate our sales templates into PowerPoint. A couple of different methods for a PowerPoint integration. I'll quickly pull up a template just to show it briefly. Our most effective method for integrating with PowerPoint is actually tied to our sales templates. And Stephanie, to your point, yes, content can be landscape or portrait. We'll effectively tie a sales template to a predetermined deck of PowerPoint slides, where based on the selections that we make, we'll cut out pieces of that PowerPoint slide. So if I may have had payroll slides within that PowerPoint slide deck, by not making the selection here, once I do generate the PowerPoint, it won't bring in any of the payroll related slides, giving us both a proposal and a PowerPoint slide deck to send out to the RFP issuer or our potential client. And as I'm doing this live, I just remembered that one sort of stipulation with creating these presentations is that it's pointing to a presentation you have open, and I've got a presentation open, so I won't be able to complete the last step. But that's our method for connecting to a PowerPoint deck, is to have a predetermined deck that's tied to these templates that will only generate the content that we selected for our template. Our pricing model is a subscription-based pricing model, and I'll be happy to share more about that if you'd like to reach out to me. My information will be provided along with the along with a recording of today's session. Please feel free to email me. I'll be happy to get with you and talk about our different pricing for our different modules and functionalities. Give it just a few more minutes if there are any other questions. Yes, that's correct. The normal chat feature is disabled for the session today. Right next to the chat button in your Zoom window, there's a Q&A button where you can ask your questions. Yes, thank you so much for your attention. Yeah. Give it just a minute more for the live Q&A. If you have any other questions, speak now or hold your peace. Just kidding. You can, of course, continue the conversation with me one-on-one. Again, my information will be provided whenever we provide the recording to this session. All right, everybody, I don't see any other questions rolling in, so we'll close the session for today. Thank you again all so much for your time and attention and attending our top 5 proposal game changers with Expedience. Again, you can reach me through my email. I'll be happy to continue the conversation and can definitely host a Zoom session one-on-one to answer any further questions you have about how we approach proposal automation. Once again, thank you so much.